You know, at the top of a roller coaster isn't the only place that people pray in theme parks. Here's some stories about faith in action in the theme parks. Okay, quick disclaimer. This isn't a preachy video. You're not going to get slammed over the head with the Bible or anything. Relax, it's okay. Even if you don't like religious people, I think you're going to like this video and the stories I tell. If you haven't watched my Who Is This Sir Willow video yet, then you may not know that my other job on the side is that I'm actually a pastor. So theme parks are my hobby, and yes, I work at them. But that's what my real work is. And generally, because of appropriateness and policies, and just the fact that it's not necessarily the right thing or the right place and time to do, I don't mix the two. But it does affect how I do my job. In fact, one of the reasons I like to help people to put a smile on their face is because it's my way of being able to bless them. I'm actually living out what I believe. At Disney World, as a photographer, there would be times when I'd be roaming around the parks and I would have a lot more time to interact. While it was still very rare, there were occasionally a couple times that I did step out of my normal role just a little bit. But I tried to make sure I kept it very appropriate. At Disney, as at most other parks, you're not supposed to do that, and for good reasons. But that didn't mean that there weren't times when I would see families having a hard time or people upset with each other or something was going on that I wouldn't quietly pray to myself. Help them to have a good time. Bless them. Take whatever's happening with them right now and help them to resolve the issues so they can put a smile on their face. Because who wants to be at the happiest place on earth and not be happy? That just stinks. And so I would pray for people as they would go by me while still doing my job, but do it very quietly so that nobody knew. But there were a couple times I did step beyond that. I can remember one time at Magic Kingdom, we were having a number of high school groups come in. Grad nights were coming up and kids were visiting. And I can remember as I'm on Main Street that there was this one high school girl that was sitting on the sidewalk on Main Street, crying. And there's nobody else there. What a horrible way to be at Disney World. So I kind of walked up. What's going on? Is there something I can do to help? And so I sat down next to her because I wasn't busy. It wasn't a time when a lot of people were coming in. And I saw somebody was hurting. And I just sat down with her. It turns out she'd been here with a group of friends. And her friends, as they had come into the park, had gotten into a big fight. And they were arguing. And this whole group of people had basically shunned her out and left her. And she was sitting there all by herself after having this big argument and fight. Nobody to be at the park with. She'd been there for a couple hours by herself and was just miserable. And so I just kind of sat there and nodded. So sorry. And what can I do? Trying to be very gentle and not trying to be too nosy or anything. Hey, would it be okay if I prayed with you? Would you? Absolutely. And so I just sat there and quietly prayed with her. You know, Lord, you know she's having a hard time. And God, here she is at this place. She should be having so much fun. Let something wonderful happen. Help the fight resolve itself. Help her friends come back. Help her to have a good time, a wonderful time. Then instead of being bad memories, that this would be the greatest day that she has ever had. And as I finished praying for her, and she thanked me and wiped a couple tears away and started to smile just a little bit, and somebody comes running up. There you are! I've been looking for you! We're gonna go do some stuff, and you gotta come with us! And she was almost immediately grabbed by her friend, and off they went together. Yes! Prayer answered. And like I said, again, this was rare. I didn't do this because you don't want to take the chance of offending somebody. One other time, too, that I stepped out a little bit. There was another family that come in, and it was a larger family. You could see right as soon as they walked past the train station and were starting to come down Main Street that they were arguing, fighting. There's grandparents, and there's at least 2 sets of adult kids, younger kids, and everybody's bickering and squabbling, and it's probably about 12 people, and nobody's happy. Grandma is in tears. People on average save over 5 years to be able to go to Disney World. So here they are, they're on their family vacation, and it's not going well. And so I stepped in a little bit trying to see what I could do. You know, hey, can I help you find something, answer any questions, do anything to help? Do something to try and help you all be happy, and started talking with them a little bit, answering questions, trying to distract them from whatever it was that was going on. Helped them work through it a little bit, gave them directions, and as they went up, they decided that they were going to split. One family going towards Tomorrowland, the other one, I think, going to Fantasyland. And as they went up and started going their directions, Grandma just kind of stayed behind a little bit and lingered, like wasn't quite sure what to do. And she stood there for just a moment, still very obviously emotionally upset. Hey, would it be okay if I prayed for you? Please! She grabbed onto me. Okay, we can do this. And I just began to pray for her, that everything that had been going on would be forgotten and left behind. She gave me a big hug, cried just a little bit more, and said, thank you so much. You have no idea how much it means to me. Put a smile on her face and headed on out to find the rest of her family again. Silver Dollar City, on the other hand, is a little bit of a different theme park. If you've never been to Silver Dollar City, being in Branson in the Ozarks, it is firmly rooted in family and Christian values. In fact, it is one of 2 theme parks that I know of that actually still has an operating church in it. Yes, there is a church in Silver Dollar City called the Wilderness Church, and it actually has services at it. Every Sunday morning before park opens, there are 2 employee chapels. And then after the park opens, there's 2 actual church services for all the visitors to come in. And they're packed. The one other park I know of that has a church in it still is Dollywood over in Tennessee. I know Knott's Berry Farm used to have a church in it, and somewhere around 25 years ago, they actually moved it out of the park and across the street because it actually had an active congregation. In fact, I remember going to visit it a couple times when I went to Knott's Berry Farm years ago when my kids were really little. Silver Dollar City, though, has as one of its traditional values that they try to portray itself as a Christian company. And because of it, it allowed a couple other opportunities. When I was working on the train as a conductor and robber, I was actually not the only pastor working on the train. There was actually another one as well. When we would rob together, we would laugh because here's 2 pastors robbing trains. But we're not robbing you. No, we're just taking offerings. But he started doing something when he was conducting that I quickly picked up and started doing once I realized it would be okay. And that's at the very end of the train ride, we would pray a very brief blessing over everybody on the train. I don't remember exactly what Kevin's was, but mine was something along the lines of, "Now may the Lord above bless you and yours in great abundance." Real simple. Real generic, sincerely felt though. And then afterwards I would give them the instructions on how to get off the train safely. And generally that was about as much as I did Silver Dollar City. The neat thing with Silver Dollar City was, as long as it didn't interfere with your job, you just weren't allowed to be preachy. But if somebody had questions or wanted to pray, that was okay. Don't do it if they didn't want you to. Be respectful of the people around you. A good example of that is one time when I had gotten off the train. I had prayed my blessing, closed the ride, everybody's getting off, and a lady from the second car out of 4 starts making a beeline towards the back for me. And she's looking a little bit upset, and I can see there's tears in her eyes, and I'm going, uh-oh. And as she comes to me, she says, "Were you the one who prayed?" "Yes, ma'am." "I want you to know how much that means to me right now." "Really? You have no idea. That's so important. Thank you, thank you." "Okay, it was just a generic little thing, trying to make sure I could pray without offending and being okay." And then she says, "Can I talk to you for a few minutes?" And so I looked around, we had an extra conductor, and so they were able to take care of the station. My boss, who was working with me at the time, kind of waved and says, "Yeah, go ahead." And so I stepped outside of the train area and over to another spot that was on the side, out of the way, so nobody was walking by. "Okay, so what's going on?" "We're here with our family, and we've been planning this vacation for a year, trying to get everybody together, and my husband came down with cancer and got really sick, so sick that he wasn't able to come, and we debated canceling the vacation. But we decided, no, with everything going on, they've been going through so much stuff with him being sick, so we have to go out. We've got to do something fun. So just you praying, that meant so much to me." "Really? Can I pray for you and your family?" "Would you please?" And so we were able to stand aside with the whole family, and I was able to just pray for them, and that God would touch her husband. Well, about 2 months later, the company receives an email from this lady, and I found out because they had actually brought it up at one of the big management meetings where they bring in all the park leaders and talk about what's been good and what's been bad, and they read this email to the whole park leadership. And your first thought when you hear that the whole park leadership was heard is, "Oh no, this isn't good." But she had written a letter that essentially said, "Thank you so much for this employee. I want you to know how important this employee was to me." And she told the story about how her husband had been sick, how the family had been saving up, how he wasn't able to go that day, and that when I had seen the need, I had stepped up and prayed for them. Well, she said in her letter that the next day her husband was feeling so much better that he was able to come to the park and spend the whole day with them. That in itself was a miracle. And they truly believed it was an answer to my prayers. Oh, wow. And then she sums up, and it was the last time we got to go out because about a month after that, he passed on. At that point, I could just say, thank you, God, for giving them an extra day, an extra time, and that I had a small part in it. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that it helps reassure you that faith isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you're a Christian or somebody of another religious faith, that it gives you some ideas on how you can use that as a basis for helping and blessing other people without having to be preachy, because it can be a great way to help other people have a wonderful day in the parks. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and share the video. Subscribe if you haven't. Let me hear your comments. Did you like this? Let me know what your thoughts are, because I'd love to hear back from you. Keep it appropriate and respectful. But I do want to hear from you. Again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and share. God bless.